Good afternoon. Welcome back to Money Control's live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Lovisha Darad. Well, what a good day for markets. Probably a late Holi that the markets and the bulls are celebrating, where we are finally seeing the color green. But yes, Nifty closed above that 22,500 mark, and Sensex has also surged over 350 points. Now, this good recovery that we are seeing in the markets came as we saw good gains from the Asia markets, given that China has announced some measures to revamp its consumption via tax cuts. Even broader markets also fared better today. If we look at Midcap index up about nearly 1% at this point of time. Small caps also, however, settled in the red, flat in the red at this point of time, fizzled out majority of the gains that we saw in today's trading session. Other than that, majority of the sectors also fared well. If you look at Nifty Pharma index, that was the top sectoral performer with about 1.5% gain, led by Sun Pharma and Divi's Lab. Other than that, we can see Nifty FMCG index, however, it declined for the second day with about 0.2% cut. Nifty IT index, once again, it did settle in the green, flat in the green. However, majority in the entire day, it was one of the top sectoral laggards as well. On the other hand, if you look at Nifty Realty Index, it is down for the third day, 0.3% cut coming in for the Nifty Realty Index too. Now, let's take a look at some of the top Nifty gainers and losers at this point of time. Top gainers on the Nifty definitely has to be from the top sectoral performer, that is your Nifty Pharma Index, that is your Dr. Reddy's Lab. Despite the company calling out, recalling some of its Caesar-related drugs, the company, the stock did perform well with about 3.5% gains. Bajaj Finserv, SBI Life, Trent, Axis Bank, all of them seeing a gain of about 2 to 3%. On the other hand, if you look at some of the top losers in the Nifty, that includes the likes of Wipro with about 1.5% cut, Britannia with about a percent cut, BPCL again a percent cut, Hero MotoCorp also dominating the Nifty 50 losers chart. But without much further ado, let's get on board with our market expert. We have Ashish Bahety joining us. Ashish, good afternoon. Let me start off, given that the sharp fall we've seen past few months, what do you make of this recovery? Do you say that this is not too very significant, but can we say that some panic selling that we saw can be, put to rest?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I mean, at least we can say the selling is over for the time being. Whatever we have been seeing, the massive selling in the market, that looks getting arrested for the time being. And the way broader market have moved today was very impressive. The breadth of the market has been pretty good. And if you see the mid-cap stocks, they have rallied far more compared to the larger ones. Reliance, despite being a drag to the market, negatively contributed almost a 0.25% in the index. Drag was almost over 6 point in by Reliance, and even the ITC also dragged. Yet we able to close 111 points in Nifty, despite even the IT underperforming the overall market. So that is one positive sign for the market, that the heavy giants are not performing, but the broader base of the market is getting expanded. That's positive. Banks are looking really good at this point of time. The way ICICI has moved today during the intraday trading session, along with that, the Axis Bank momentum was there. So that is one positive. Bank Nifty contribution is very significant for the market. And if Bank Nifty outperforms, I'm sure Nifty will surpass its 20-day and will be heading for 22,900 zone.
All right, yeah. Given that we saw both Nifty and Bank Nifty also faring well, what are the next levels that we can track, Ashish? Nifty is above that 22,500. Bank Nifty is also above that 48,350 mark. What are the next levels that we can track for?
Yeah, so Nifty was 22,500 is a cluster for the call writer, and Nifty was just barely able to close above that and was acting as a resistance area. So tomorrow's session will be very interesting. If we surpass 22,550, I'm sure we are heading for 22,780 zone. What is important is Nifty crossing about 22,550 and staying in that zone for at least an hour or so. Then we can see even 22,780 on the chart. Anybody who's long should keep a stop loss of 22,400, and fresh long is recommended about 22,550.
All right. IT stocks, Ashish, did settle in the flat in the green today, but after 5 days slide. But how do you see the IT space, given we have some recession fears cropping up in US, then we have the tariffs uncertainty? How do you expect investors to approach the IT stocks?
See, we are mixed on IT stock. We are extremely negative on the large cap IT. There's a absolute sell recommendation for the large cap IT. However, on the mid cap IT, we are bullish. So we seeing a lot of value in the mid cap IT, and considering the how the AI domain is pacing up this whole segment, whole sector, I think mid cap IT will be the more easy to maneuver the changes. However, the difficulty will be in the large cap IT. So we are more bullish on the stocks like Persistent and KPIT. However, negative on Wipro and LTI.
Okay, all right, Wipro and LTI. Well, let's talk about Tata Motors because that counter received an upgrade from HSBC, and HSBC did say in the report that they find the valuations favorable. Ashish, how do you find the stock given that we have had significant underperformance past two 3 quarters also for Tata Motors, but in the coming days, do you expect a meaningful recovery?
There's already a massive correction happened in Tata Motors from almost stock sliding from 1170 zone to almost 620 zone. There's a little bit of pullback from there of lows of 615. But I think it's very important that stock should consolidate here for some time and then start its upward trajectory. So fresh long would be recommended only if it surpasses 680 zone. If it is managed to able to surpass the 680, which is the resistance area for the time being, which able to surpass that, I'm sure it may even touch 750 area. However, one should keep a strict stop loss of 650.
All right, 650 as a stop loss for Tata Motors. Ashish, what about IndusInd Bank? Back-to-back headlines we saw last week also about 28% slump we saw on the stock, but today it did settle about nearly a percent higher after RBI statement. Do you believe that the worst is behind, at least for some time, for IndusInd Bank?
No, the selling is still there, even despite after the RBI statement today, we saw it opened 4% up, and then there was a selling from the higher zone, and it managed to close just near its today's low. So we are continuously seeing the selling stock is any which ways in ban. So no fresh longer positions can be initiated, derivative position can be initiated. Our recommendation is to strictly avoid this stock for the time being till the time the dust is not settled down. There are more better stocks available. Stocks like ICICI and Axis is giving fabulous momentum. So investors should focus on those stocks.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Muthoot Finance because that was one of the good performers, did settle with about 4% gains. Definitely the company's business update did give out a good positive momentum where it says that its gold arm has crossed about 1 lakh crore as of March 13. Ashish, how do you view this stock at this point of time, Muthoot Finance?
It's looking very strong on the charts. It's directly correlated, however, somehow with the gold prices and the way gold is moving surpassed 3,000 mark, and it's inching towards the north of almost towards 3,300 zone. I'm sure Muthoot is well placed to surpass 2,400 mark. Stock is any which is trading near its 52-week high, and the way during the intraday it moved, despite opening at 2230 zone, it gained the momentum during the trading session. So we were very bullish here. One can go long here by keeping a stop loss of 2250 for the immediate short-term target of 2370.
All right. Ashish, banking stocks, as we were talking about, have done well, but any favorable buys that you see from the banking index?
So we are bullish on ICICI Bank. The way ICICI is moving right now, it is already above its 20 DEMA and surpassed its 200 DEMA in yesterday's trading session, that is Thursday's trading session. So our next target for ICICI Bank is 1310 1310. One can go long here by keeping a stop loss of 1240.
Okay. Ashish, what about some of the pharma stocks? Because today Nifty Pharma was one of the top sectoral performers also. And given that the Trump's tariff uncertainty was going on, everybody said that the pharma stocks are going to be insulated because they're going to pass on the price hikes. But on the charts, any good picks coming in from the pharma space?
Yeah, there are a lot of pharma stocks which have shown exhibited a lot of short covering today. Dr. Reddy's has been our recommendation today by way of option. It certainly hit all its target of 1150 call, but we are still bullish on Dr. Reddy's here. It has just made a move which surpassed all its almost 12 days highs. Crossed the 12 days high. The next target for Dr. Reddy's would be 1190. One can go long here by keeping a stop loss of 1120. Similarly, Biocon is looking good on the chart. Stock is coming after a consolidation of last 7 to 8 trading session, and it's now heading towards its 200 demo, which is placed at 350. So one can go long here by keeping a stop loss of 325.
Okay. Ashish, there were certain stocks that did see the expiry of the lock-in period also. We saw MobiKwik, IKS, Vishal Mega Mart and EMS. Anything favorable to accumulate at this point from these counters?
Uh, we would not recommend any of these stocks as the price discovery is yet not over. Most of them have just a trading history of 2 to 3 months only. And Vishal Mega Mart, if you'll see, it's been consolidating in the zone of on the upside 115, in the downside 100. 100 looks like a good demand zone, but yet it's too early to comment technically on these charts.
Okay, all right. What about the metal space? Let's talk about a little bit about metal space because it has been the standout performer past 1 month. How are you finding the metal space given we have some, Chinese stimulus measures also announcing revamping of consumption by tax cuts? So how are you finding the metal space at this point of time?
So metal is purely a cyclical sector, and once it start moving, there is usually it continues the momentum and replicates the base metal prices. So we are bullish on the metal, specifically the non-ferrous metal. The so Hindalco and Nalco remains our top pick in the metal side. However, on the ferrous side, Tata Steel is looking good on the chart. But we would strictly avoid sale or other PSU metal counters.
Okay, all right. Some of the consumer stocks did take a hit today. We saw that Britannia was one of the top Nifty laggards also. And if we look at Nifty FMCG index from a 1 month or even from a 3 months perspective, the index has not really performed well. What do you make of the FMCG index, Ashish?
Yeah, it was came as a surprise because some of the charts were looking as if they are due for the short covering. However, the way pharma stocks moved during the intraday session was really shocking for us also. Yes, Britannia has corrected, but it's still not a selling opportunity here. One can go long if it crosses above 4750 mark.
Okay, all right. Just one last question before we let you go, Ashish. Anything that you find favorable at this point of time in the markets? Any topics
Uh,
that you want to share?
Yeah. So Bajaj Finance is looking good. Both B2 Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv is looking good, and we have seen NBFC as a whole space today outperforming the broader index. So one can go long in both Bajaj Finance and Bajaj Finserv. The stop loss for Bajaj Finance should be for of 8450. One can go long by keeping for the target of 8800 here.
All right. With that, we have to let you go, Ashish. But thank you so much for your time, and we hope that we connect with you soon. All right. With that, we have come to an end of this edition of the Closing Bell. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to moneycontrol.com for all the news updates and market insights.